recording automatically. Do we have some guests in the audience online?
Sure.
Yeah.
They are. So that way.
Sometimes
Through it.
Martha,
I
there.
thought you meant late this morning.
Attendees.
Let's see this. There's one lady. Well, it's fine.
I didn't get to my. Not even see that. What if you just stop share for a second? And I think it'll see your controls. That's true. Okay.
Focus.
I know. I don't even see that.
The owl dirty. That's soft. That's focus. We all look young. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's
Cool air eats at everything eventually.
okay. So these are all just people that are. Okay, so we don't have, okay, we don't have someone to put us in the panelists. Okay. All right. Alright, so. Then. We're going back to. Sorry. This is what it says.
Your oldest is in 7th grade this year, right?
Yes, she is.
You have a younger one too,
I
right?
have yes, one is 12, one is 10.
Okay,
Uh,
we're having the same deal.
Yeah.
One last year of elementary and then the other one second year middle.
Yeah, I think
There
you're
we go.
happy.
Except the wake up times are different now and trying to juggle.
Yeah, this late start stuff is not
Okay.
fun. I
You guys
don't
ready?
like that.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, we're good.
All right, it is 6:03 PM. I'm gonna go ahead and call to order the August meeting of Hood Valley Parks and Recreation District. We will start with comments from the general public. We have one person here in person. Do you have any public comment? No, okay.
I'm super excited.
Because it's summer.
No,
Okay.
because of that
Wait, what?
outstanding agenda, actually.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff on
Yes.
it.
All right, and then we now have 5 attendees. So if anyone would like to make a public comment, if you can raise your hand, that will help us know that you would like to do that. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone doing that. So we'll go ahead then and close public comment and move on to the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes, one from the special meeting and one from our regular board meeting. I had a slight update to the regular one, but it's reflected correctly here. It had to do with our discussion about who's gonna be kind of liaison for which different entity and, I literally had to go back to the recording just to verify that we had that accurate. So it's in the physical packet we have here, and I believe that
It was
reposted.
updated in the minute.
A minor thing, but just, like that, you're gonna be backup for Mike for port liaison, kind of informally, just those
Yeah.
details. Anyone else have?
No major issues.
No.
This is the full.
So I go ahead and I'll move to pass the minutes of board meetings.
Second.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, moving on to item 3, the owner's rep, and that's Marcy with we've been assisting.
Lots of ribbons in the house, just in case if anyone has any legal questions, related to our next, this agenda topic and the next one. The owners, the contract is essentially the same contract that was in the RFP, and it has just been updated with, the name of the group, which is Wenaha, and the contract amount, going up to $919,917. We did send this over to Wenaha for review, and they said it looked great and that they are, ready to sign. And so all that is left for you, unless you have questions or comments, is ready to make an action and consider a motion to award the owner's representative contract to Wenaha.
No concerns. I think we've gone through all the hoops and done all the things we needed to do to get here.
Correct. You see, one of the things about the RFP is that it included the form of the contract in it. So they were accepting the form of the contract except for a few blanks. One of which was the term, because we didn't know what would be proposed as far as what they would foresee as the scope of construction and services. So we did change section 1, which had a blank to say that it would begin immediately as soon as it's signed. But then the closeout date would be the anticipated July 31st, 2029, which they provided in their response as part of a timeline. But then it leaves it open to say that the final date will be when the project is completed as agreed between us and Wenaha.
And that has to do more with like the project delivery method, and that could possibly change the timeline.
Mhm. And as Marcy pointed out, yes, the compensation was changed to reflect what they bid for the price.
And so then that puts us into a break ground date for the new construction. Isn't that then?
We probably don't even have that.
Yeah,
yet.
we don't have that yet. They do have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, estimate.
Right.
Estimate.
And that's if, assuming we go on their recommended and delivery method, and we'll explore that as a possibility.
So simply a motion to approve.
A motion to approve it, correct?
So I'll put forward a motion to approve the owner's representative project manager services contract as written in our meeting packet.
A second.
Aye. Not opposed.
Okay, so if Wenaha has approved it, then I think, Christie, you're good, just sign it and we can get it back over to them.
Okay. Great. Moving along.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, the next one is. Texting me. So hopefully you saw the donation agreement in the packet, and we're here also if you have questions on that item. Basically what it says is that the current property owner is going to donate this parcel. They've got it partitioned to the north and south, and so it's the side that has the wetland and where the trail would be. So, it's really exciting milestone, incredibly generous from the landowner to be pursuing this. So just very exciting.
Cool.
Do any of you have questions for either you're gonna?
We did, just in case anybody is.
Yeah, do you wanna walk through that a little bit?
Quick walk through.
Figure they-
So just as a reminder, this parcel in particular, contains the missing link for the Indian Creek Trail. We've done years of outreach on this parcel to try to secure that missing link. The 2020 master plan identified this area as an area for a park space, as well as flagging the gap in the Indian Creek Trail. So this aligns with our master plan. We went through lots of different things to try to figure out how to get funding for this parcel, including our OPRD grant search, and we're trying to get the ODOT grant. And those two items in that grant pursuit drove all of the surveys, design, and environmental work that we did. So we have done due diligence on this property. And then, as well as the 2024 capital bond where we were unsuccessful with that. So where we are today is we have PRA Brookside LLC who has bought that parcel and is ready to donate. And then just what the due diligence found, we've done lots of surveying and engineering. We have pretty much the survey for the trail. We're very close on, engineered trail design for the project. There could be changes with that. But Klein, gave an entire narrative and background for our grant. We've done a wetland we've had a wetland delineation and a phase 1, and gotten a written comment from DSL, DEQ, and ODFW. Saying that there are no major red flags other than the fact that we must comply with state regulations, which of course we will. Okay.
And as it says there, this is subject to a conservation easement. So the city was granted a conservation easement, meaning that they have final say in the purposes of that easement, which are for recreational purposes, trail building and all that. So the contemplated path forward is that we accept the property and then work with the city to build the trail. And that conservation easement even allows us to build elevated trails and things like that. So it's very, it was pretty much written for trail building.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. One thing that's a little bit, just for lack of a better word, not entirely final about this is that, I've been working with Ken, the member of Brookside, and his CPA, and they have not set an actual date of the agreement because the city has to approve it. They have to sign it and everything. And then because it's a property transaction, it anticipates a closing date where we actually sit down and execute additional documents as part of that closing. And then at that time, the deed is transferred over to us. Those additional documents are laid out in the donation agreement. And let's see. I believe they are referenced in there somewhere. There's going to be a deed form, and that was attached to the agreement. There's also references to particular documents where we acknowledge that we're a political subdivision that can accept the gift as a tax exempt organization, and providing them with a written acknowledgement so that then they can go to the IRS and say, look, this is a legitimate donation. They're saying that it was not taken for any consideration or anything like that. So as part of a motion to approve this, what I think would work well is if the motion was to accept the donation agreement with the closing date to be determined, and authorizing Christy and Mark to follow up with the required documents to consummate the transaction.
Was there a reason why we were not just straight up recipient of the?
I'm sure there is. I don't know what it is. In fact, it actually seemed kind of odd because the conservation easement envisions the holder of the conservation easement, the city, is building the trail, whereas it seems like the cart's before the horse in how they structured this, and that we should have gotten the conservation easement and the city should have gotten the donation. But I don't see any reason why the city can't just sign off and assign their building obligations and their rights to construct and maintain back to us.
Yeah.
They
It's
still
not-
may though, correct? I mean, they still might go that route or no?
Oh, they are.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's anticipated.
yeah.
Yeah, I've already talked to Dan, their attorney, yeah, we're anticipating doing that, so. It seems like the cart is before the horse, it's not a chicken or the egg situation, we can get it figured out.
But also the conservation easement and the property donation, they had to be separated.
Yes, you
So there's
cannot
that.
hold a conservation easement on property that you own, those interests merge.
Oh.
So it has to be a separate entity that is charged with enforcing the purposes of the conservation easement, and so you
So
can't
then,
enforce it against yourself,
Mhm.
so.
so then. Does the conservation easement, is that part of what triggers the valuation of the donation? I mean, like what they're
Yeah.
going to claim, I mean, is that?
Well, fortunately, we just don't have to deal with that. They are going to claim some value as part of the conservation easement. And they're also gonna claim some value of what they're donating to us, subject to the conservation easement. But all of that is between them and the IRS. We just have to say, we got it, we're a political subdivision that can take this
We're not getting-
donation. And we didn't get anything for it, yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to accept the land donation with the pending delivery timeframe. And Christie as president with Mark as executive director to oversee the final negotiations.
And sign additional documentation pursuant to the agreement.
And sign additional documentation pursuant to the agreement.
I'll second that.
All right, great. All in favor?
Aye. Heck yeah.
You again, your donors.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any
You're
more?
Gonna cut me loose? Okay, that's for me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for all the good
Yeah.
stuff. And hopefully more to come.
Stick around if you had beer.
It's back in the fridge.
Green flavored water.
Yes. I haven't quite got it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks
Thanks.
for that. Have a good night. All right, we're moving swiftly. Good job.
I don't want to jinx it. so.
Well, I actually, just want to go over what the IGA says. We've been over a lot of the, back and forth with the school district, so I don't feel like I really need to fill you in on all of the history. I think everyone is well aware. We have done an immense amount of work in talking with the school district and feel like we are at a good place. We are both entities are compromising. And both entities are recognizing the value that, one another has for our essentially shared constituents. And so I just want to start with that, we've done a lot of work, we're in a good spot. So this document is broken up into the IGA and then the facility use agreement. So the IGA is basically the legal documentation of all of this. And then the facility use agreement basically kind of defines what our relationship terms are about, okay? So just the IGA, so it just gives us the authority to jointly work together with the school district to offer enrichment and recreation programs, that we both have facilities and that we agree to share them, that this is, kind of an important point that we both have priority. So like as our own entity, like we have priority over Hood River Parks and Rec facilities. The school district has priority over their facilities. And then after that, we are second in line and they are second in line for programming. So, and that's a really important part. That doesn't mean that we're not gonna work, everything's with scheduling requires compromise and all of that. And of course, we're willing to work with all other partners and user groups, just like they will be when issues come up. Safety and supervision, so,
Just one question about the priorities, just to make sure we're clear. Is it still basically what we were talking about initially? Is that essentially Parks and Rec programs will get the priority, but contracted programs that are not Parks and Rec will not?
So
the
not,
priority.
not necessarily, so
Okay.
like the contract programs, the difference right now is that contract programs will have to pay. There are contract programs, when we get to the facility use fall outside of like the standard, right? And that's essentially the key thing. The way that Jaime and Geo have been scheduling anyways is to really work around, like we try to avoid the conflicts.
Yeah.
So, that's not really, the scheduling of contract programs really isn't an issue.
Okay.
So going back to just the IGA, it's just that we agree to do background checks, they agree to do background checks, and we'll work together with each other to ensure that that's done so that everybody's safe. We have insurance, and then that if there are any sort of disputes that, it's in good faith effort, it'll follow the normal escalation thing, and there is a 180-day termination notice if we decided to go that route, which we don't foresee that happening. And that this is good for 5 years. Okay. And so the facility use agreement, this is one where we are gonna revisit this annually. So I'm starting kind of at the bottom right there because we were just talking about the terms of the IGA. The IGA is 5 years. The facility use agreement, we get together more frequently just to discuss how things are going, right? Now what's key here is that, we've done it in a lot of different ways over the years. Most recently, since we've taken on, recreation programming, for the most, we were not charged for fields or facilities. And we did charge them. We didn't charge them for water polo or swim team, but we did charge them for school swim lessons and some other things here and there. So it's still a little bit of a hodgepodge. Now, moving in this standard, basically, we recognize that after we did an audit, that it's all coming out pretty much a wash. And so it's a reciprocal no fee standard for everything that's in the standard operating approach. And so we define what that standard is in the facility use agreement. So for example, like water polo for us, they have a robust schedule. They've started their season. They're out there right now as we speak. So if they wanted to have games or tournaments that are beyond what is considered normal, then we would charge them for that. If we do something that, like a contract program falls outside of that, so we would have to pay for the fields or the facilities for the contract program if we wanted to use their thing, and that is, it's fair. And then, we defined a little bit more about the aquatic schedule because that was pretty important to us so that they could kind of understand what the standard is. And then the addendum identifies everything in the document that falls outside of that scope, like what's in the normal use and what's outside of that. And so, this is just essentially your overview of what's in the document. So if you have any questions about it.
I had a question, just to, and understand what is written in the IGA. My concern is with this document KG8R. It does reference an IGA with us and the school district, but it seems to not give us a priority. Seems to not be.
So the way that staff is interpreting it is that so it references that there is an IGA.
Yeah.
And that is before all of the other sections, so that becomes the priority. And so then we are Parks and Rec things are lumped into there that fall outside of the standard, right? And in the IGA and in the facility use agreement, it specifically says that we have priority.
In the IGA, it says that.
In the facility use agreement, it specifically says we have,
Exhibit A.
mhm.
Yes, it does. I just, to me, when, it's almost like this is, and I understand what you're saying, but just that document is not,
Controlled by them.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Sure, certainly,
Right.
and if, you know, yeah, I do fully concede that the IGA is referenced, which is awesome, and it is in a spot that precedes the actual ABCD or ABC
Mhm.
classifications of priority.
And we are not mentioned in that ABCD classification
Right.
of origin, so the way that staff, when we were talking about it, was that we still had
Okay.
that priority.
I see that it just, yeah, no, and that does make sense. It's just when it would have been nice to have that document be a little bit more specific. So, or explicit, not specific, explicit.
Agree.
And it's, you know, it's not in the IGA, it's not part of the exhibit A, you know, and it's not, it's their document and it's just, it's, yeah, I mean, the IGA makes sense. The appendice or exhibit, sorry, makes sense. And then having KGAR reference this makes sense. It's just,
It would have been nice.
yeah.
Yeah, and that is exactly why we pushed to make sure that it was explicit in the IGA and facility use.
I get what Brian's saying, bring Ruben back. Yeah, the inference is difficult. I mean, because that's the gray in between. I don't know what else to say about it. I think it's great. I mean, when reading through it, all the way down to how we mediate this, flip a coin when we get down too far. I think it is a lot of hard work to get to that point, and I just want to feel like I hope we don't infer burn down the line in some way. So, but I don't know what else we can do at this stage in regard to any of it, other than say thank you for the hard work that it took to get to this stage.
Thank you. And I do feel like our relationship is in a much better spot where I think a lot of lessons have been learned along the way. And we are working to have good faith effort on both parts that our relationship will continue to be fruitful moving forward.
So then, as a fact pattern that I'm gonna set up, and you know, prove me wrong or say it's incorrect. Soccer comes back to Parks and Rec.
Mhm.
Making this up completely. They go through Kaizen. And we're providing them and have, you know, that.
Like
the
3
fee-
through 8 or.
The fee agreements and yeah, all of it. When it comes to then scheduling the fields. Then that, you know, that youth, and it's, you know, I did notice that there was a youth or an age component to this. It's not all Parks and Recs programs. It's primarily the children, Parks and Recs programs. Again, not okay with that. When we're setting up the fields, then would we have priority over? Or to me, it seems like we would have priority over some other select team or whatever.
So you're asking in the scenario that if Columbia Gorge Youth Soccer, for example, came back and began contracting with us, how the scheduling would go. So they have so this is where what they're doing is great. So they are working to establish their regular use now. And so I would see no reason for them to be like, oh, now they're contracting with Parks and Rec, so we're gonna completely change this schedule, because Columbia Gorge Youth Soccer is part of the Gorge Youth Alliance, which we are also a part of, that the school district organized. And that is, and many other user groups are part of that organization. And they have regular seasonal meetings to discuss scheduling issues. And so Columbia Gorge Youth Soccer, along with Parks and Rec, would be able to work through any of those scheduling issues.
And would it be advantageous for them to then come back to be a contracted program?
You know, possibly. So right now, you know, I think the issue with recreation programming in a nutshell is that it's disjointed, right? Because we have contracted programs like Columbia Gorge Youth Soccer, and because we have, you know, lacrosse and, you know, baseball, for example, all of these programs are separately registering their participants on registration systems. And so if you have a kid who likes to participate in all of those activities, you're going to multiple places and there's no multiple websites to register and there's no front desk customer service. So in my opinion, Parks and Rec provides a great service in being able to provide customer support and outreach, being a clearinghouse for all of those things. And so that was our hope with recreation programming. So yes, I think that there is an advantage. We hope that the contract programs will see that as an advantage, but it's just about developing those relationships. Okay.
You mentioned swim lessons. And it is called out here. So just to clarify on that. So the school district will no longer be paying anything for swim lessons?
No longer paying for swim lessons.
So what's the financial impact of that? Because
So it's about it, so swim lessons over the years, what started out about at around $10,000, but over the years, we've had to decrease the number of lessons. So we used to have 8 swim lessons per grade, per class, per grade. And with the new increase, and it used to be, you know, back in the day when I ran the pool, for example, it used to be random grades and schools coming. Since we took on recreation program, essentially, we really worked with the school district to ensure that all schools, all K, second and fourth graders got to participate. So that really increased the total number of students. So we had to decrease the participation because otherwise there were cancellations. You know, our staffing became really difficult. You know, it just had a big impact. So now we have 4 classes. And so that revenue had dropped from about, you know, 8,000 to 10,000 to about 4,000 or 5,000. So it's about a $4,000 or $5,000 difference that we'll see this year. And off the top of my head, I am not remembering how we budgeted. I'd have to go back and look at our budgeting numbers to determine if we excluded in anticipation of this move. I'm fairly certain that we did. So it's about a $4,000 swing, but the one thing that we are continuing to charge for is the open swims at the end of the year, because that fell kind of outside of their scope. So there will be still continuing to have some of that.
I heard you say, water polo tournaments weren't something that was standardized.
So we are including they get one tournament.
Annually?
One tournament annually. Swim team will get one swim meet and invitational annually. And it can last over the course of 2 days. So if water polo, for example, wanted to do two invitationals that were 1 day each, they could do that.
But this swim team has anywhere from 6 to 8 swim meets.
They have swim meets, so
Yes.
water polo also has
Games.
games, so
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah.
and actually what we did. Swim team is now allowed to have, like water polo, a weekly swim meet if they would like. They don't typically take us up on that. But we wrote that into the agreement that they could do that.
To your point on the adjustable district-wide swim lessons that have changed over time, I think the way you've structured it now helps lock in the equitability. Because previously, whether it was everybody or K 4, it didn't work out that way. It was really the kids that can walk, a couple blocks down and get here, all got to go. The ones that had to be bused or anything else, not quite the same. So this now kind of ensures that they're gonna focus on getting everybody from a distance at that grade level to be here.
And the school swim lesson schedule really does work pretty well now, because we basically start at, soon after the school year starts, and it goes through for the entire year, and then it's essentially every other week. So that there's a week on, a week off, and that week off allows for, if somebody had to cancel because a bus broke down or, something like that, it allows us to reschedule into the next week. So it basically ensures that we can still offer all of the classes that we said that we would, barring, any issues or weather that arises. So.
I was just kind of gut checking those numbers, and so just clarify, like, when you said the 4,000. That's the portion the school district would pay, but that's not the full cost of providing those
No,
lessons.
not at all.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was
Okay.
actually a really important point
Uh-huh.
for the school district. And I think one of the really good things was, because I've been here for over 20 years, and, we've been providing incredibly subsidized swim lessons to school district recipients, for over 20 years. And I don't think that they realized the extent of it, so we were able to show them, the dollar amount of that subsidy, and then, I think it was very helpful in allowing them to understand the value that we provide.
And just to be clear, this translates to us being able to use their facilities for free.
Yes,
Just want to make sure that's.
yes,
on-
yes,
Yes, okay,
yes.
With annual review.
yeah.
Right, and
I mean, that both ways.
And
Yeah.
that's really important, just to be
fair.
like, how are things going?
Yeah.
And, Jaime and Gio were regularly meeting quarterly with, their facilities people. Ally just met with the AD, and the water polo coach. So, that communication is working and happening, and we're really glad that it is, because it helps to just prevent any misunderstandings and helps everybody to take care, know the expectations for.
Yeah.
So.
Great.
Sounds good.
Okay, so
So,
on this one, you don't need a motion.
No.
It's just kind of
yeah, this is
almost there.
almost there. This is basically so you have your eyes on this document, what's coming down this pipeline. The school district goes through 2 readings. So they anticipate, I think, going through the first reading and second reading, and that would be, the timing would be in conjunction for us to, if you all are so willing, to approve the IGA at our next board meeting. Okay.
Earlier your work on that, and Mike already said it. Yeah.
It's like we're moving in the right direction. So, Mike and Jace, feel free to pop in at any
Can I
point.
just give a brief override on this one real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so we met for the advisory council and oversight committee, looking at all the applicants and trying to assess and figure it out. And fortunately, we had 14 applicants for 6 oversight committee spots, so we got to actually, pick from all 14 were very, very solid, so it was really, we were kind of very fortunate to be able to pick 6 that, we were all very confident with, and in almost all cases, even amongst the ones that we didn't pick, we were able to put them on still in the advisory council, so almost everyone was still gonna be involved who wanted to be involved, so. It really worked very clean and very smooth, and everyone, I'm hoping everyone's very happy. We should also have a really solid oversight committee to be paying attention to what's going on with the pool. And a really well-rounded advisory council to hear some different opinions and insights on the whole thing, so really, I think it went pretty smooth, all things considered.
And I think one important thing to point out is that this was when we did the reviewing of the documents, this was a blind review.
Yep.
And we sat in this room and literally read all of the documents together and then immediately did our scoring blind and then added back in the names and the, you know, revealing factors. And it was a really interesting and cool process to do it that way. And especially for the oversight committee, I think it really helped to show, you know, like where we've all had pretty much very similar scoring on, you know, our oversight committee picks and, you know, adding in the names, we're like, oh.
Yeah.
So you know, it was blind and then we added the names back in. So drum roll. But before we go to the drum roll, just a couple of things that maybe we can revisit at the end are the next steps. So, we haven't really talked about the process. So Mike has been our advisory council liaison for the last year. And I don't want to assume that he, you know, is ready for that challenge again, but, you know, so anyways, you know, just want to give the opportunity and, you know, have that as part of the discussion. So, you know, did that work? Do we want board members attending? We are changing the structure of the advisory council to more of a quarterly meeting. So, you know, we could consider changing that structure so that the board attends all of those. And then I think that the best thing for the oversight committee is probably to wait and have the Wenaha, when they get started, you know, advise on what an appropriate schedule will be. So just with that in mind, you know, kind of saying perhaps we should stay tuned for that, but we could send out, you know, so however,
Yeah, thing that I have, well, I recall with the advisory council, I think we did sort of an onboarding meeting, and that might be a good idea to do with particularly for the oversight, because I think they're all new people to us. I don't have to memorize everything with this packet. And I feel like there's a lot that could be shared with them that would be helpful context. So I don't know, just a thought to put out there that potentially that could help happen before the owner's representative, but it also depends on how quickly does that person come on. If they come on in 2 weeks, this idea is probably irrelevant.
Right, and Wenaha did say that they would be reaching out, you know, about kicking things off, so, you know, we're only in the very early day.
Is that your way of saying we should all be at that first attend the first oversight committee?
Well, that's a separate point. I'm saying that potentially we wouldn't have to wait to kick it off with the oversight committee, particularly if it's gonna take a couple months until that first meeting is scheduled, because I think having a kind of an onboarding meeting would be of value.
Yeah, even prior to, for sure, and yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Even before we pull on, and everything, we just explain to them where we're coming from, or what we expect, or what we're hoping for from our oversight committee. That seems reasonable.
Is that something that you would be interested in doing separately of the advisory council? Or are you interested in doing, I guess, an onboarding for the newly established advisory council as well? If you're thinking in those terms, and would it?
Do you do them in both the same night, just
Yeah.
oversight on, you know, 5 o'clock, and then advisory shows up at 5:30 or 6 or whatever?
It would
Like
be
that.
it could be the same time, so if it's.
Oh, yeah.
If essentially, if
Yeah,
you're
just
talking
introduce.
about the it depends on how broad you're getting.
I'm bringing this up, I think partially because the foundation is actually, this is a concept for the foundation too. I'll get into that update, but new board members have come on, and there's a lot to learn if you haven't been in it. Even if you've been kind of tracking it, there is just so much. And granted, the oversight is just about the pool, but even just about the pool is so much. And so it'd be great to get them up to speed so they're ready to just hit the ground running when the owner's representative.
Yeah, they understand the lingo and all the stuff that
So
they're
it's a
talking about.
little more like a little present overview and then some Q&A.
Yeah.
Advisory should be expanding this go around too, because it was primarily the bond and the levy before. And now the advisory is gonna cover the entirety of the district, is what my impression was.
Mhm.
So they're still gonna need, even if there are some repeating members, here's our new parameters.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes, you are interested in possibly,
September meeting with everyone prior to one.
and would you want that in perhaps in conjunction with our board meeting, like an hour before? Or in possibly starting our,
Wednesday before, or the Wednesday before, I guess,
Or-
the week before or that day. Is that,
We started I fully agree. I mean, my priority, or I think I like giving the oversight committee, pride of place at this moment. And kicking it off with them sooner than later. And not to say that the advisory committee isn't as important, but our advisory council isn't as important. It's just, I feel urgency around the oversight.
but they won't be there, we're
Yeah, they
talking
would
about they'd
both
be at
be.
the same meeting.
Would we want?
Well, sure, because it's kind of an intro to the thing, so you might as well just have them all at once and explain. You could even, I don't, just the big picture stuff of talking about the
Yeah.
pool and the district is probably even helpful even for the oversight committee to hear.
Oh, will it
And then-
confuse roles in any way?
I mean, they know which one they're gonna be assigned to, so I don't know, but maybe, I don't know.
Just think of like orientation day at a new job and how much they're absorbing, and if you throw things at them that won't be part of their
But if
target.
it is, I mean, it is at a sufficient altitude that we're not,
Yeah.
And then we would still have a first pure meeting of each of the two, so.
Granted, true. Yeah, I'm okay either way.
So-
Thank you, Q&A, and welcome.
do we want to try to nail down
I think before the board meeting is great logistically, if that
Mhm.
works for people.
Just sit 20 people though, or
well, not in here, we would have to, that'd be real tight. We would have to, typically the city has allowed us, even though they don't do after hours, to use the fire station as partner, so, we can ask if we could do it there.
16 September?
Yeah, and just to name, I mean, I'm still under the impression that the structure that we had before was. I had spearheaded the advisory with a rotation of board members, and that was for a 1-year term. So there'll be a new person spearheading with a rotation of board members. Will that be the same for oversight that we target?
Right, and so, yeah, I think this is completely up to you all as to, did this structure work last year? Were you happy with it? Do you want to continue doing that? Was,
and it was cool having, I like the rotation concept of getting different people in there all the time but now, even then, there's gonna be less meetings for this one than the last year, correct?
Yeah.
Quarterly, or even maybe 6 for oversight rather than 12.
so the
Approximately, I'm
advisory,
guessing.
we're pushing for approximately 4.
Quarterly, right?
And the oversight committee could be more.
They estimated every other month.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
bi-monthly.
Right.
Also, that 4 and 6.
And I would say that might provide, 6 or more is,
Okay,
Well, it seemed like it worked fairly well to have one board member as chair, but I think it was also maybe it challenging sometimes and trying to moderate, right? Because you're kind of there to listen, but you also have to moderate, and so having the co-chair seemed to help in that regard, so still having that structure where you have a partner.
Yeah.
And would you like that with the oversight as well?
Yeah, I think it's better that it's out of our scope, because I mean, it should be a second, someone who's not us.
Right.
Being, you know,
Definitely,
yeah,
yes.
awesome.
Exactly.
And we're just there as listeners and answer questions and ask them questions. Really, we should be there running things,
Great.
Oversight.
either.
Yeah.
So we do have, this is now leading me up to, oh my gosh, we probably need, we have the advisory charter, right? That will probably be, adjusted to reflect any changes that are made, but we don't have anything for an oversight committee, but it could be something like that could be established for, expectations of the group, as part of the criteria, it's still some of those similar criteria would be important to list that we have in the charter.
Along those lines, though, is that something, we can have our intro and hello, welcome and all that, but would that be something Wenaha would probably have his 2 senses, like this is what oversight's thing should be?
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
would be a great place
so,
for them
I mean,
to.
it shouldn't take them too much work, I would think. That's a pretty straightforward
Mhm.
charter for them to figure out, just to make sure we're doing all the legal things we need to do, and from their perspective than ours.
Everything, expectation.
Yeah.
Keeping everybody's expectations, right?
Because they're overseeing us, but really, we're just, Wenaha's running the show once we get this going as far, I mean, we'll make decisions, but they're gonna be doing a lot of it, so really, I think hearing what they have to say for the charter would probably be important.
Okay, great.
That'd be my 2 cents.
Good feedback.
So would it be helpful at this time to identify kind of a potential lead, board member lead for each of them, and to be kind of
Just so,
figured out a bit more?
I mean,
like-
it's so you could nominate, volunteer, for each, and then if you all agree, then it would be one board member who's the liaison for that group, and then rotating through, board members rotating through, so that then you're not over meeting to have.
But it is public meeting,
Mhm.
anyone could come to
Anyone
any of
could-
them.
Could come.
Yeah.
And so if that were the case, then we would just need to make sure it's already a public meeting, so yes, but just that a forum maybe. Present.
Okay.
Does anyone feel strong urges to be a liaison for either of those?
I'd throw my hand in for oversight. Really? Like the. Yeah, full angle.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think you asked great questions. I think that'd be a good fit personally. Cool.
Do we wanna? I don't know if we need-
No,
it's not.
I don't think
Okay,
so.
great.
It's just me. Martha, you good over there?
I'm
You're so far away, so.
I'm
I wanna
listening.
make
Want me to
sure.
get closer?
Yeah, nice safe spot. You look happy. Yeah.
I don't like to go, I brought my sweater this time, so I was like, dude. I just have a lot going on, this fall,
Mhm.
and I might be out of town quite a bit.
Okay.
We'll be able to meet via
Yeah.
Zoom,
Okay.
so, but if I'm here, I'm willing to substitute or whatever.
I'm probably comfortable just with the rotations, my schedule going into the fall, same deal, so I don't feel strong about liaisoning for, I mean, it's only 4 though, ultimately, I'm fine just going to the few.
I could do oversight, it helps that it's only 4. Is
Or
that right?
advisory.
Or, sorry, yes, that's what I meant, advisory, unless you wanted to kind of. Can you?
Carrying the torch.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, I understand I'll be about half as many as before and the like. I do want to have a rotation, but I think of the objective that we have for both of them, which is to bring the information back to the board. And last time it was all hands on deck. So there were times where if it weren't a public meeting, we did have quorum. Because we all wanted to be able to get that information, to get it out. It's not that this isn't important, as important, more important, but I do think that our pace will be different. And so I doubt we're gonna be tripping over each other nearly as much.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my thought is I'd rather hop in and liaise for somebody else that's taken precedent than jump in at it like last time.
Great.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, well, without much further ado, so the selection committee proposes, for the advisory council members, Kate McBride, Bethany Farazi, Danny Craig, Nancy Roach, and Yesenia Rojas, who are all returning. Advisory council members, Steve Henderson, Shay Ryan Blakesley, and Claire Raymer. So I do think one thing that's important to note that where we are slightly deficient is in the male. We only have one male on the advisory council. Interestingly, in my recollection of it, we only had one male apply to be on the advisory council. So very interesting. But just thought it's kind of noted that this is perhaps a deficient area.
But a strong returning contingent for continued support. Thank you.
Just kind of representing some of the themes we saw in their application was just talking about access and making sure that things are affordable and inclusive. Communication and transparency was really an important theme, making sure that we are informing everybody about things and communicating it clearly and explaining decisions. And there were so many great feedback from last year, just making sure that we're working to provide those updates to the advisory council. So we will be working really hard to make sure that in the interim, each month that we're continuing to provide that update. That we're working on our financial and operational sustainability so that we can be forward thinking for a levy renewal, and then ensuring that we're continuing to listen. Especially, I think one of the things that we saw with the advisory council, and one of the reasons why you all recommended moving to a little bit smaller of a group, was just that we had a lot of voices. Sometimes it was hard to hear all of the voices, and so just making sure that we're hearing not only the people who are a little bit louder in the group, but making sure we're providing time for the people who are more softer spoken. And then really focusing on that community connection. So a lot of really great input and thoughts there. And then for the oversight committee, we had the board had recommended a 6-person oversight committee. So we are recommending Jarrett May, Carl Blakesley, Liz Whitmore, Mike Fox, Chris Carlin, and Megan Channel. And I mean, when I tell you that the blind review of people on the oversight committee, I mean, we had a lot of qualified people applying to volunteer to give their time to help provide oversight. And it was really impressive. So, people, I mean, you can look at some of the things, but we have, people with a variety of background. I don't know if you all want to say anything, but.
Honestly, the all 14 were extremely impressive, and and really, some people wrote some very extensive responses to this. I mean, so really, we had a lot of reading to do.
Yeah.
And that was a good problem to have. But really, I mean, it's just that we couldn't, it was a good problem for sure.
Yeah, excited to have their support and to see what we can do.
It looks, it's nice that their expertise is broad, and kind of what we're doing.
Twice as many men on this as women, so
Yes.
it slightly balances out with the other.
So I think we have some Kate.
One small comment.
Okay.
I know a couple of these people from the last year working on all this stuff. And a couple of the people that you picked personally from previous other things. You've got a powerhouse of people here that are gonna be just amazing. You guys have some great people. Yeah.
So good to hear.
Yes.
Thanks for
Yes.
That
thanks,
work that you
yeah.
did all day.
Thank you. Well, if you have, do you have any further questions for us?
When will you be announcing to them?
So the plan would be to send them an email. As a reminder, I need to. put that on the task for tomorrow, to send them an email, and I think I think I probably did, have it here, you know. The plan is to send out an email to all applicants. There are some people who will not be selected. Some people applied for the oversight committee but did not apply for the advisory council. So there are people who are not going to be on a committee. And so, you know, my immediate thought is, you know, how do we continue to engage those people who very clearly had a desire to help us? And so, you know, as we move forward in all of that process, you know, I think personal invites to those people for, you know, future engagements that we could, you know, invite them to and, you know, hear things that they have to say, whether it's open houses or listening sessions, and, you know, there will be plenty of that to come, you know, over the next year or so as we go into design. But, you know, just recognizing that we had some people who will not be chosen. And so that is gonna be important for us to very graciously thank them and find ways to plug them in and hear their feedback, so.
And also to help the ones who were selected know, like, not everyone was selected, and this, you know, this is important for the community, and we are excited to have you and hope you're able to commit.
Right, yes, yes, and we do, our group did, just in case we had somebody from the advisory, council, I mean, from the oversight who could not, you know, determine that they could no longer commit, we do have an alternate, that we would recommend if somebody could not do it. So if we get there and we need to cross that bridge, we'll come back to you on that.
So I think on this, you would like a motion to appoint these individuals.
Yes.
To the two committees.
I'll put forward a motion to approve the slate of candidates for the Advisory Council and Oversight Committee as published in our meeting documents.
I second that.
Right, all in favor?
Aye. Oh, great, thank you. So finance report, Monica was really nice, and in 1 second I'll show the talking points. I was like, Monica, do you want to help out with that? So she was really great, and she said, don't you worry about it. There's not a lot to report at the beginning of a fiscal year, so you know, just a couple of, you know, items that, you know, right now our beginning fund balance is showing that, you know, we're already over budget, so great. For our revenue, and you know, we're just plugging along with general admission. You know, this is our busy time of year, so you know, it's good that we have some strong you know, revenue and swim lessons and merchandise sales. And actually, one thing to point out is that probably our swim lessons aren't that high, and that's probably because we had most people register for summer swim lessons before July 1st. So, you know, these are just the people who've registered since July 1st. So kind of interesting, and this is smaller, so sorry about that. But you know, payroll expenses are our biggest expense for this month, and
Were there any impacted smoke days in July or just this month?
yeah, so do have that in the director's report, but I think we had 4 full days, so 2 half days and 3 full days of smoke impacted closure for our outdoor rec programs and our pool. Fortunately, couldn't have been better timing. We had great space over at the school for summer kids camp, so we did not have to cancel that. You know, unfortunately, they lost a full day, but at the end of the week, they were able to reschedule and come a day. And then, but they did get to go to laser tag in Portland. It was just so conveniently scheduled, and that is indoor. And so, you know, it was a great field trip for a Smoky Day. So recreation fund, we do have, the beginning fund balance is a little bit higher than the budgeted. So just a quick note on that. So this was our best guess. And if you will recall, when we were going through budget, this was about the time where we were like, things are really declining fast, and about the same time that the board was deciding if the bond and levy didn't pass, that our message was that we were gonna be closing recreation funding. So it was a dire picture then, you know, and one thing to just note is that Jaime and Gio heard that message and, you know, really did work to pinch every penny possible and, you know, work it from that angle. So I think we had a little bit of, you know, higher registration, mainly from some, you know, we had a lot of summer programming coming on. And so we had a lot of people registering for that. So a stronger beginning fund balance than we thought going into July.
But just to clarify, if people from the public are wondering, it's less than it was a year before. Like,
Yes.
we've eaten into the beginning fund
Yes.
balance. It's so.
Our beginning fund balance has declined and dwindled over time. And Monica does have a good, let's see. Let's just go straight to her notes on that. So one item to note this month is that unsurprisingly, you know, admin, that's, you know, where Mark and our budget lives. You know, we're always at a deficit, you know, using taxpayer dollars. The Aquatic Center has some deficit always because it is definitely a subsidized facility. Parks and Trails has a deficit because we provide those parks to people, right, and they cost money. And then the Recreation Fund is the only fund that had a surplus. So I would like to point that out. It's probably, you know, might not happen every single month, but we do have a surplus there.
For the month of July.
For the month of July. Yes, yes. And Monica just pointed out some of the other points, you know, that the beginning fund balance was exceeding the budgeted amount. And, you know, when we do the budget, these are really our best guesses right here. And that we're basically at a 51% subsidy rate overall for our operating versus revenue expenditures. And then payroll continues to be our largest cost. And that recreation was the only positive cost.
And so wouldn't that also be reflective of like the pricing continuum too? Like summer camps are not subsidized by tax
So
dollars.
and how we chose to price that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were choosing to really. And many of our programs for summer programs, like the adult programming as well, we're trying to really focus on recovering our costs on those programs. And we have some adult programming this summer, so all of those things are making that area. Any other questions about general fund? Yeah. So then the improvement fund, there's no real forward movement in that fund either. We just that have a slightly higher beginning. And then SDCs also no, beginning fund, I mean, no real movement there because there's money. So it's pretty simple. Okay.
Okay, we just want to provide a quick foundation update, because it's kind of a little bit of a milestone in the past month or so. So I think probably you all got the email that the foundation's newsletter list, and anyone can subscribe to that on the foundation's website if they would like to. But wrapped up the pledge campaign that was mostly pushed before the election. We had some pledges kind of come in right around then. And that went really well, which is wonderful. So the two numbers there, like every single person who pledged donated. There are a couple still in progress, but they've told us like, when they're gonna donate and how, and it's just a couple of them. So we have great return.
I know that it's coming.
Great, yeah, yeah, and the ones that are remaining are, there's things like donor advised funds, they're called DAFs, and there's a whole process to, getting that check issued, and so those are kind of some of the remaining couple instances. But an even maybe better note too, I mean, they're both great, but multiple people upped their contribution from what they had pledged to. So just really encouraging.
Yeah.
And by a decent amount, it's a percentage there. And so the foundation, this is a long process of fundraising. This is just the first phase. At this point, there's kind of a plan for about 4 phases. But evolving kind of as it goes and learning more from the community and working with donors. And then operational processes have been improving too. It's still a completely volunteer run entity. But
With a lot of moving parts.
yeah, a lot of moving parts. But really people are contributing a lot in terms of time and effort and their skills. And we really brought on several new board members who all bring, just like the advisory council and oversight, like great relevant skills and are really engaged and motivated to help. At this point, the foundation will not be actively recruiting additional board members because we now have a fairly full board.
But we are
Yeah.
very excited
Yeah.
to have an additional board members who bring some great skill sets.
Yeah.
To bolster our teams,
Mhm.
I mean, and we need the help, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be great, super great to have
Yeah.
these people on board.
And I kind of skipped, I guess I unintentionally skipped over the bullet point here under the second bullet point. This language was requested by the foundation chair, Charlie, to just kind of remind the district board that the more clarity that can be provided on dates for the pool project, the better the foundation will be equipped to fundraise for it.
I think we all want those
Yes,
dates.
just there again.
Yes.
Yes, we all want those dates,
And
yeah.
our interrupt,
Every
so
person.
the
Yeah.
sooner we can get pricing on things, the more clarity we can
Yeah.
have. So yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Any questions on this? update?
That's awesome.
Okay.
Nice job.
Yeah, great group.
And, we had the auditors come the first week of August. It felt like last week, but it wasn't, 2 weeks ago. And so just a reminder, this is a requirement for us as a special district to have, the auditors come, and they come in and basically do field work where they, select files and records and look at our internal controls and ask a bunch of questions and ask us to pull up reports while we're sitting there. And it's very efficient. They're incredibly great to work with. And, just a reminder that this is a really important part of public transparency and public trust. and ensuring that, we're doing what we say that we're doing with our funds, and they are able to help verify that we're doing what we're supposed to. So,
This is our third year with them, is that
With-
correct?
Sarah and Lewick, yeah, and it has been going great. They have been really great at just helping us to improve some of our processes, we've really been working to go paperless, so that's been they've been a great resource because they are entirely paperless. So just, helping to advise on like standards and how to do that has been really great. And we did have Monica come out to that to help throughout that process so that she could answer questions and pull all of those reports. Otherwise, it would have been taken a lot of our time away from the work that we were doing.
Was part of that reasoning as well, because down staffing with Kelsey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, normally Kelsey would have taken care of that. And we did not have her come last year, but so she was great and it was wonderful to have her. And I felt, just to add on to that, she has, HR expertise as well. And so she was just wonderful. And we had a staff meeting where we, went over and did an entire overview of a lot of things about the employee handbook and best practices and onboarding and, all of that. So it was time well spent with Monica. We took advantage of her time for sure to ensure that we got a lot out of it, and our staff was very thankful to have her there to answer a lot of questions. She's a great resource. So wildfire smoke, I did cover that, but just a reminder, so like this is a little snip from what we have in the OSHA standards, and you probably see it when you check the AQI. But OSHA has like really they're like, you basically can go outside and work and do a lot of things in pretty bad smoke. And so we still have to decide what our standard is. And so over the years, we've been like, okay, here's the standards. We put, we now know smokes are here to stay. So we really have to make sure that we have the resource and we know all of the things. So we always have masks. We always have the OSHA document. But this year we really worked to contact a lot of other agencies to ensure that we're doing the same thing that other agencies are doing, and following just kind of some good common sense approaches here. So basically when the AQI gets to over 150 into that unhealthy group is when we cancel all of our swim lesson programming and outdoor programming. In between 150 and 200, our staff is talking on the regular to determine whether or not we're going to close the pool.
I mean, between 100 and 150, you mean?
In between, I'm sorry, yes, 150 to 200, because that's kind of the hard point to kind of figure out. Some days that 150 felt like we needed to close, and then some days, it didn't seem as bad. And the other thing is that the Oregon.gov sensor, it has a lag, and that's what OSHA recommends. And so their AQI was like, they wouldn't update it for 2 hours. Their sensors, but then there's another one that Ian from the health department, he sent out to all of the, that's a completely different one. I think it's called Purple Air. So we started using Purple Air in conjunction with Oregon.gov, and the numbers were drastically different. So, Purple Air, since the health department recommended using Purple Air, we kind of switched over to Purple Air as our standard to use. And we had a lot of early morning phone calls and, all of that to determine what we were gonna do, but we were very glad that we were able to run some programming. The adult learned to swim, so, this was our 10th year, being able to offer this grant-funded program to, adults in our community. I cannot tell you, it is absolutely my very favorite program. This year I only got to come for one day because I took my daughter to college. But Kate was a volunteer, instructor, and it is so much fun to teach adults who, either have a fear, don't have a lot of experience to swim. But we did have to reschedule that into 1 week because of the smoke. It was supposed to take place over the first 2 weeks. We had 58 people registered to take the class, but some of our numbers were affected by that, so we did not have as many as 58. But just want to give a big shout out to Columbia Gorge Masters Swim Team because they always have partnered with us on this grant and provide volunteer swim instructors. So, we often had a one-on-one teacher to student ratio. So it's just a super great program and so happy that we are able to provide that for people. And we had some return people, so it's super fun to see people who they're like, I'm coming back for these swim lessons and making a lot of progress.
I think one of the great things to think about with the difficulty of smoke in our future in the Northwest and all that is the versatility that we're hoping to have here with the ability to be an indoor closed space during those times. And people have nowhere else to go. And that is the early morning calls turn into, actually, we're just gonna button the place up or not open it up for the day. So it's safe inside for people to come. And that is something that we never even had a chance to think about before.
With a nice HVAC.
Yeah.
Really well, no
Proper
holes in the
filtration.
Yes, I could not agree more.
Those adults were so grateful.
So grateful.
They were just so grateful. And they learned, I heard so many of them say, oh my God, I improved so much. I learned so much just in 4 days.
Adults really can make so much progress,
Yeah.
for sure. Super.
Was it a pretty diverse group, like age, gender, race?
Yes, we always have a lot of great diversity and a lot of different ages. We have young adults, we have a lot of men, which I think is super fun. And then, friends, girlfriends who come and take the class together. And so, we had a mother and daughter, take the class and they were repeat from 2 years ago. They came back after, they didn't come last year, but they came this year. So, so that was kind of cool. So, yeah. All right. Oh, and then recreation programming, we had a little bit of a scheduling snafu on that, so we will be postponing talking about the recreation report until next. And so I think we're on to go to the order, and I know you had a couple of things that you wanted to talk about.
I think
but-
there's one.
Okay.
There's another one, but the volunteer thank you event. It's coming up, scheduled, it's planned. I need to check with you. If
Yes,
stuff's
we
been
definitely
ordered,
need- yes.
but although we are all volunteers, we also are needed at this event if, those who can. And so for the different activities that we talked about last time, it's pretty straightforward, but we have just this to pass around. So Jace and his wife are graciously going to man the refreshments area, likely floats, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Ally gave the okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
Make sure
okay.
they stay out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then we have 4 other spots, welcome check-in, kudos wall, Y wall, and photo booth. Both the kudos wall and the Y wall are kind of like crafty sort of, and so all of them are kind of, they should be pretty easy. It's just kind of being there to keep an eye on things and say hello to people, and hopefully we'll have 1 staff member at each one as well, so people can kind of trade off, take breaks and stuff.
Probably just encourage participation, you know, right? So like maybe your job is like, hey, you wanna
Yeah,
come do this thing?
yeah. Does anyone really want to do one of those things?
I have
Here,
an event.
that night, okay.
Yes, I did not realize that it was on the same date. I thought it was the 22nd.
Oh,
When I told you could.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah, do the check-in.
Just pass them around.
I know we originally were talking about doing barbecue stuff too, which I did not see on there, so I assume that that
Oh, no.
became,
Yeah,
yeah, so at that stage, I don't mind hopping in wherever else.
trying to make it fun, but also feasible.
Kudo or photo booth, both sound fun and feasible.
If you want to do the photo booth, do that, because that's like,
but
you
second,
might be taking photos, you might, so.
maybe, or people are gonna be like, that guy's just hanging around the foot, I wanna get in there.
Could be that dynamic as well.
I can do either, I can hop, skip, jump, rotate, but I'm gonna write my name under Kudo wall, being willing to adjust wherever necessary, because I'm looking forward to it regardless. And I won't smell like hamburgers and hot dogs at the end of it.
Always grill us some.
Yeah. I mean, for good of the order, I just wanted to shout out Jace as well. Besides the volunteering and jumping in everywhere, I mean, Oversight Committee interviews and the first newsletter that went out. I think that you are tackling it from all angles and making it look good.
Thanks, appreciate it. Awesome, thanks very much.
That's the,
That was, I was like,
that's the other item.
that's the
Yeah.
other item. Yeah, thank you.
Glad that
Dave.
worked out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, like
It was a big helping.
hurting, like which way?
My face in the email thing, I was like, God.
Yeah, no,
It's a big picture.
shade down.
Yeah, and I guess I should invite, so it would be great if we had another volunteer for next month. We can talk a little bit about how you thought it went, you know, like, Christy helped kind of like do a few like things. I think you probably saw that there were maybe just a few quick
I wasn't there.
tweaks, but,
I trusted the system.
right, but I guess it just leads me, you know, it'd be great if we had one person volunteer to, if we either cycle through, do we like it where I put it at the top, or do you have feedback on that?
Front center. I mean, there was a lot to that message, but I thought it was good to start out that way, seemingly that time.
Yeah, was it too wordy? I don't.
No.
Okay.
My gut is to have it like at the bottom,
Mhm.
and receiving it too, it felt a little bit. I don't know, it,
Bam.
yeah, kind
Yeah,
of,
I
yeah,
felt that
yeah,
too.
like.
I felt that.
James.
That was, yeah. I didn't know if that was just my own like self-consciousness thinking that. Yeah, I felt that.
But maybe it's also like, it depends on the other content, like that was a really important one about the owner's representative, it's a first big
Yeah.
update about the pool project. So,
I think the other ones, if they're ongoing ones, are just like ongoing. I think the pool stuff just seems so front and center, so important.
yeah.
And the owner's rep just seemed very important. So I
Yeah.
can see why one might be important to be at the front, but maybe that doesn't necessarily need to be the standard.
Well, and next month is gonna be all about the committees, you know.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be another, you know, prominent issue with the oversight. And getting them established.
Since we're talking rotations as well, I could also see at least the first full rotation being up front because it's a board member.
Mm.
And then after that, we could move it down, but like, hi, here are your board members. And then, you know, okay, great. We don't have to keep top of everything.
Right, I mean, I think I really did like you know, the
Personal.
yeah, the personal, so, and I think it was Jane following the last board meeting she was like, hey, I have a recommendation, and that is, make sure when they, you know, write something that they're, you know, introducing themselves, right? And I think that's
Yeah, you
why,
should, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and saying, you know, kind of like giving a little intro on who you are and why you're a part of it. So like, I thought it was good and useful feedback. And so I, you know, I think I shared that with you. And so I think we can try it at the end. What my intention, so typically the way we have structured the newsletter is to have district news be like, you know, an update on whatever it is. And I think that I was thinking that the board role would take that on and we could work to,
Yeah, as long as it's,
Figure out
if it's
that-
pertinent to what we're talking about,
right,
yeah. it seems-
and,
yeah.
you know, so that it's not duplicative
Yeah.
work, right, or writing. And then, you know, we always have pool news and recreation news, so only like 3 categories, but however, and we could just put it at the bottom, however you all want. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, I like what Mike was saying, the first one should, I mean, kind of as everyone's like the first one, like the, like hello, 5, like 5 big pops. Especially because right now the first 5 are gonna be all crucial to the pool build, and I know most of them will probably be, maybe not all 5, but. I mean, at least the first, all the stuff that's happening with the bond and levy and those front and center. So I think if we're tackling some of those big topics right off the bat. That's probably a pretty reasonable thing to lead with, as long as it segues into what you're talking about and like the pool news and stuff.
And I think that this could be just a good area, you know, as a board member, if you feel, I do know that we've gotten invitation from, you know, like Nancy and Kate, for example, that, you know, they'd be willing to help with, you know, messaging or things like, so if you're like, I'm stuck on a topic or that sort of thing, you know, they could, as our advisory council, you know, just be good resource for, helping pinpoint some thoughts and ideas.
Well, I think the topic sounds like it would either be the committees, but it also might be the Indian Creek Trail, because that's really
Mhm.
big.
Yeah.
If it's all finalized by the next update, because if it is, I would think that would be kind of more newsworthy.
It's a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, big fundraising push and stuff, and it's bigger than it can, I mean, I appreciate our volunteers, but that is absolutely a big deal.
Yeah.
So that should be celebrated and talked about.
Do you wanna take that, Christine?
I mean, I think that would kind of make more sense.
Yes.
But so then if it's the committee's one, would that be, like,
I'm happy
maybe
to
that would
do
be good.
You know, with
You
the, with
wanna
the
do that?
oversight piece, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe you could have them both written, is that possible? Like, you don't too much, and that way you run whatever one,
True, yeah,
the
you
deal sell, and
probably
then you have,
can,
then you
huh?
basically.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I just think we need to announce this.
Yeah.
Well, not
it has-
until,
Has to get legally signed.
yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
still
Oh.
owned by the
Yes.
current property
Yeah,
owner
yeah.
until
Deal is
everything is
Done.
done.
We've been.
Yeah.
But at least we have 2 months lined out back to
Yeah.
back, however.
Yes.
Great,
Okay.
yeah,
Sounds
that
great.
sounds great, and,
And to us,
you know,
too.
I know. And we did just send out a newsletter, so, you know, we have a little bit of time.
Yeah.
On that, so hopefully that'll give some time to
Just
have everything, all the
out.
pieces of.
Great. Anything else with the order?
That was a lot of good news today.
Yeah.
So it's
Good work.
Good job.
Yes.
I know.
Everybody feeling good there.
Yeah, that, right.
And so we do not need executive session tonight, so yes. So,
I know. You're looking at the time.
Wait, is the committee gonna meet? When is it gonna meet the first meeting? Did you say?
I didn't say a date.
Nothing said.
Well,
I think that we are tentatively scheduling for our next board meeting before, before our, regularly scheduled.
Okay, that's the 16th of September.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that wasn't
Probably at a-
decided on, like, that wouldn't be necessarily ongoing meetings, that is just because
For
that's the
the-
intro and hello and
Oh, okay, all
Onboard.
right,
Q&As.
all right.
We need to let the folks know.
Yeah,
Okay,
I put forward a motion to end this meeting.
A second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
I will ask for our next meeting to agenda the West Side Park and the completion of that cleanup in some way, shape or form.
Put on the agenda for next time.
Yeah, if we don't talk about it in some other way, shape or form in between, I would just like to make sure that we can schedule accordingly.
Okay, great.
Would you like stop recording and then?
Enjoy your last night,
Yeah.
empty nester.
No, soon.
I could hear it in Marcy's tone. I just had to drop a kid off.
Yeah.
College.
Second.
Mm.
I'll see you guys.
Have a good night.
Good.